welcome back to my channel. It is Dom of Beauty by Dom, and today's video is going to be another layering video. I wanted to do an updated one just so you guys can get different ways of doing it. With my one-on-one class that I do teach for coloring, I also do teach layering and curling and like styling techniques, and I like to kind of switch up my technique that I teach based on, you know, my students' level of like understanding and like what seems to be easiest for them. So I thought I'd come and share with you guys just quickly 3 different methods that I will use or teach. Of course, if you want something a little bit more in depth, like I said, I do have my one-on-one classes, so you can learn everything and I can go with you step by step through it. But if you're a good visual learner and this is good enough for you, I'm just going to show you guys the techniques here as well. So these are beginner friendly. I like to make everything as easy as possible, even for myself. Like, I find that when I do it like the quote unquote professional way, sometimes it's not as easy, and if I can get the same results with a different method that's easier, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna take you guys through that. The 3 methods I'm gonna go over is the C-cutting method, I'm gonna go into the staircase method, and the, what did I name the last one? And there's one more method anyways. Oh, the pull-up method, basically. So these are my names for these things, but you can name them whatever you want. I'm just gonna show you what they look like so that you can try it out on your own way, on your own hair if you are very brave. But yeah, let's hop right in. The unit that I'm working on today is the unit. This is a Yaki textured unit, so it's going to be a lot fluffier, but you can do this on any texture, obviously. The only thing that I want to make sure is that the hair is stretched out, and that's what the first thing we're going to go into is kind of the prep for that. So let's dive right in and get to snipping. Okay, so as far as supplies that you're gonna need, you're going to need shears, cutting shears. You don't want to be using like kitchen scissors. You want to be using hair cutting shears so that you're not damaging your hair and so that it's easier for you to cut through the hair strands. And then you're gonna need something to clip your hair up with. This is just a given. Anytime you're doing anything with hair, make sure you have a clip. And the last thing you're gonna need is something to comb through the hair. So either a fine tooth comb, or a brush, whatever works best for you. I use both kind of interchangeably depending on like what part I'm at, but make sure you have something to detangle the hair, and that is pretty much it. Obviously you need your medium. So for me, I have this gorgeous Yaki straight wig. I haven't done anything to it. It's just been, you know, the knots have been bleached and it's been washed. So this is the natural texture of it. If you want to grab this texture for yourself or for your own business, this is from vendor 2. So if you have my vendor list, that's this one. And if you don't, I always have a link down below. But first we're gonna grab these 2 things. I always like to do this on a mannequin head. You can do this on your own head, but for me, I find that I can see better when I have the mannequin head in front of me. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and like I said, first thing you want to do, especially if you are dry cutting it, which is what we're going to be doing today, is make sure the hair is stretched out. So now you can see that the hair is like, it still has a little bit of texture in there, right? You want to make sure it's as stretched out as it can be. It doesn't need to be bone straight, but you want to make sure it's super duper stretched out. So I'm going to go quickly over this and do a quick blowout. For that, I'm just going to use a little bit of this heat protectant here. It's a quick, literally quick blowout from Redken. This is great just because it makes the hair dry super fast. So if you're working with hair that's already damp or it's wet, it's gonna make it a lot easier to blow dry. And it's nice and light on the hair, so you can put a decent amount and not have to worry about, you know, buildup and all of those things. So let's do a quick blow dry. For my blow dryer, I'm going to be using the Shark Flex style with the round brush attachment. I like to use this just so I can get the hair stretched out and have it taut. You can use any blow dryer that you have just as long as you can get the hair stretched out. If you're working with a straighter texture, obviously it's going to be a little bit easier. But with this, I want to make sure it's as kind of smooth as possible so that I can make sure my layers are even. So let's get into blow drying the hair. now that the hair is all stretched out, or as stretched out as you can get it, we're gonna go in and put a part. What I like to do is put a middle part just so that it's equal on both sides, and it's gonna make it easier. If you wanna do a side part, you can do that and it's fine. If you wanna do a middle part, if you wanna do a flip over, it's cool. So I'm gonna go and put this into a middle part. It doesn't have to be the most perfect middle part ever. You just wanna make sure that it's relatively close to the middle and, you know, as good as you can get it, so that you have those equal layers on both sides. And this way it's gonna be easy for you to match it up when it comes time to actually cut things. Once you have the part in, one thing I like to do is go in at the front and not really bump it, but kind of push back this area here. I'm using a closure, so this is what I'm going off of, but you can do the same thing with a frontal. You just want to push back this area so that it mimics how it will be when it's stopped. So for me, usually if I'm doing layers, I'm probably doing curls, and if I'm doing curls, I probably want a little bit of volume up here. So when I'm cutting it, and I know I'm gonna be styling it like this, like it's gonna have that little bit of volume there, I wanna make sure that I'm cutting these layers to the right length. So I'm gonna still style it and cut it with that volume in there so that I don't like have the risk of, if I had it super, super flat and it wasn't how it was gonna be styled, I cut my layers, you know, here, but once it's styled, the layers come all the way up here. And that's not what I wanted. So I wanna make sure that it's as kind of true to how it's going to be styled when I'm doing this. And also you can always cut more layers, but you can't add more hair. So you wanna make sure that you are being very careful and very mindful when you are cutting. And you know, doing something like this, giving you that little bit of volume here is gonna give you a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to how much you are cutting. And then also, if you want, you can always go back in and snip a little bit more once you have it on your head as well, if you're doing it on a mannequin head. Usually this is a good guide of like, okay, this is gonna be like here. So if you want your layers to start here, and when they're curled maybe right here, you can cut right here. If not, you cut a little bit lower, so on and so forth. So let's jump into how I start off these layers. So the first one I'm going to show you guys is the C cut. So this is basically, I call it that because you have to look for a C when you're cutting. So I'm gonna try and show you guys the best that I can. This one is a little bit hard to showcase, and this is why I kind of stay away from teaching it, just because it's a little bit difficult for people to get, especially if you're not in person, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do with any type of layers, when I start out with my first little piece in the front, and this is gonna be my guide. So similar to if you've watched any of my videos with money piece highlights, and I take out that little front piece and I do like the shape of like a little crescent moon, I'm doing the same type of thing. So I'm not taking out a lot of hair, like I'm literally just taking out the front pieces right in the middle. So about this much hair. I'm not taking out a lot. So we split that into the two sides. You have your two sides. This is where you're gonna begin your layers. So I always put my guide from here, and I will actually keep my with me. You wanna see where you wanna cut. So like I said, if you want your first layer to fall right here, down here, then you wanna cut near there. I cut a little bit lower than that, just, you know, in case. But if you are comfortable, you can just go straight in and snip. These pieces are gonna be your guide. So you can do the staircase method for this, you can do the C method. I'm gonna show you C method on one side and staircase on the other side, because the other method, that's not what I do for the front, but I'll show you it towards the back. But I'll do staircase on one side, C on the other side. So let's start with staircase. Staircase is the method you probably see all over the internet. So I will show you. I'm gonna bring you guys in a little bit closer just so you can see properly. Okay, so for the staircase, we're literally going to be cutting in like a staircase motion. So going down the stairs like this, you can hold the hair like this and kind of drag your scissors down the length of it, similar to a staircase. So when you're looking at the hair, it's going to be cut down in a diagonal. And you want to start the cut, of course, towards the middle of the face, because this is going to be where your shortest layer is going to start for the front of the hair. So this is going to be your guide. So like I said, if you want your layer to be here, cut a little bit lower than that and do the staircase. So I'm gonna have it here. I'm gonna hold it up so you guys can see it. See, and then the staircase method from here, I already marked where I want it to be cut, and I'm gonna just take it down on a diagonal, and then it's kind of a staircase, like you're going down. You can always go in and kind of fix it up after, but you want it to kind of have that diagonal going down. So I'm gonna get out of this shot so you can see diagonal going down. Let me zoom in. As you can see, you have the diagonal kind of going down here. If you're looking at it here, it's going down. So when you do that and you let it go, oops. Yeah, when you do that and you let it go, you have that face framing that starts to peek out there. I'm gonna do pretty much the exact same thing on the other side, except I'm going to do the C method. So with that, once you have one side, you can actually take a little bit of that side to see where you want that first layer to start. With the C method, what you're going to do is take 2 of your fingers into the hair, over and under, and then flip the hair over. And then you'll be able to see where that first layer starts, and then you can cut in the same motion. I'm going to do that on this side. So you're gonna take the hair, kind of direct it diagonally across the face. So if you're here, you're directing it diagonally across the face, and then you're going to flip the hair and you can begin to cut. So when you flip the hair, it's going to take this hair that's here, that's supposed to be the shortest layer, and put it to the other side. So if you're cutting like this, you want to cut from this side to this side, and if you're on the other side, it's going to be flipped. So you want to make sure you remember where that middle piece is. If it's here, when you flip it, it's now over here. So what I want to do with this one is pretty much the same as the other one. You just want to cut a C into the hair. So when I say a C, I'm literally going to be cutting downwards so that the hair that's being cut literally looks, there's a curvature right here. It's the same thing as the staircase, except for the way that you're holding your hand. So sometimes this is easier for people to learn. Sometimes just doing the staircase is easier for people to learn. It's really up to you. Both of them do the same thing, like I said. So both of them are fine, and you can use either method throughout this time. I'm gonna go back over and show them at different parts of the hair, but that's just what it looks like at the front. Now that you have these 2 sections cut, you can go in and look and see, okay, are my layers as short as I want them? Are they even on both sides? Once you have that sorted out, then we can move on to putting the layers or blending them back into the back of the hair. So what you're gonna do is take a little piece of the hair on either side. I like to work side to side. It's just easier. Take a little bit of hair, about like this much hair. And again, you're gonna take your comb and comb the hair forward. Like I said, you wanna keep that little bit of volume there because that is how it's gonna look when it's styled. So you wanna make sure you can see where your layers are going to fall. And you're just gonna continue the same staircase method, but continue it down with the hair that hasn't been cut. And so you'll have this diagonal here with hair, and you're just gonna continue that staircase method all the way down. With the staircase method too, you can kind of see the C. You can see the C, the hair. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but the hair is going in like a downward motion, in like a C formation. And even to clean up my cut, sometimes I'll do a staircase method, and then I'll take it and flip it so I can see the C again. And then I'll clean up my staircase with the C method. So you're wanting the curvature to be here. It doesn't have to be a very exaggerated one. The more exaggerated your layers are gonna be. And then, like I said, when you flip it back over, you have those layers in there. And I'm gonna keep taking little pieces and joining them into these layers until I get to about where your ear would start. So I will show you kind of what that looks like. So I'll get to about here. Like I said, I like doing the C method, so I'm going to do that. But you can do the staircase, you can do C, whatever works best for you, and kind of just glide your scissors down through the hair. You don't want to make it really choppy. You want to make sure the hair is gliding through the scissors and making it nice and smooth. So now that I have that all in, this is behind, this is in front of the ear here. So this is about how much I'll do for that. Once I get to this point, I want to take the hair in slices like this. This is how I do it. This doesn't have to be how you do it, but this is how I do it. And this is the easiest way for me to teach it because you can easily see what you're doing. So I take slices like this. It can be even thinner than this. It can be something like this. And I slice all the way down the side of the head. So if I'm taking a slice from here, this is the stuff we've already cut in front of the ear. This is your face framing. And then if I'm taking slices, I go directly straight down through the tracks on the side here, all the way down to the bottom. And I take out this piece of hair. Now this is kind of like the pull-up method because you're pulling the hair up so that you can cut it. But I'm gonna show you how I do it with the C method first and then with the pull-up method. So same thing that we did at the front. You're gonna make sure this section is combed out. I like to angle it a little bit towards the front. What you can do is match it up to where your front layers are being cut so you can see where you want that shortest layer. For me, when I do this, I know that my back layers, everything behind the face framing, I want the first layer to start at a certain point. So I don't want it to be too short. So I know I can kind of come out to about this point. Where your fingers are or where that first layer is gonna be if that's where you're cutting. So make sure you have it at a length that you're okay with. So when I comb it up like this, like I said again, this is the top of the hair. This is where your shortest layers are gonna be towards the top of the hair. And this is the bottom of the hair towards like the back and the nape area. So that's where your longer layers are going to be at the bottom of their head. So keep that, when you're combing it to the side, keep that in that order. And then you can see where you want that to be cut. So I have a little bit of the front in here so I can see where those layers are starting. So now I can literally just go in and follow the pattern. So if I want my layers here, I follow the pattern, make that C going downwards. And these are gonna be very seamless layers. They're not gonna be very choppy. The more you want it to be like an exaggerated layer, the more you're going to chop off. So I'm gonna show you, I'm not gonna cut it like that because that's not how this wig is styled, but I'm gonna show you how I would do it if I want the layer to be more exaggerated. I would take the same type of chunk, I would comb it all the way up. Let's see if I can keep this within frame. I would comb it all the way up, that same chunk. If I want my layers to be very exaggerated, it's gonna give you a lot of layers. When you see people with big, huge, fluffy curls and the layers are just like everywhere, essentially, this is what we're going for with this type of cut. So you take that section, you comb it all the way up, make sure everything is stretched all the way up. And then, okay, you see where my fingers are here? If I bring this down, that means that layer starts right here. So that's right here in the hair. So it's gonna be a lot of layers. And what you would do is literally just snip from here and snip it done. And then when you let it go, the layers would fall down. That's gonna give you very exaggerated layers. For me, that is something that is hard to style as straight hair. And for this unit and for a lot of my units, I don't like to do that because I know that my clients have to go back and style these wigs. And I find with a lot of layers, not a lot of people like that look when it's straight. And if they want to have the versatility to wear it straight and wear it curly, I like to give them the most blended layers I can while still giving them some layers. So I'll do the methods that I'm showing you, but that is how you do my pull-up method, if you will. That's just gonna give you extra layers. I will make a dedicated video on that because I'm about to do that to one of these wigs that I have here. It's gonna be ready to ship, so if you're interested, stay tuned. But yes, that is the third method, but we're gonna stick with the staircase and the C-curve methods. So like I said, with that one, just go back over what we just did. Taking this slice right here, turn it so you can kind of see, slice, you sliced it straight down through the layers, thin slice going this way, and then you took it out to the side. I like to take a little bit of the hair from the front so I can see where those layers are starting so I can connect them. If you want your layers in the back to be longer, just take it down longer than these layers were. Take it out to the side, not too high, and then create that C curve. I'm trying to see if you guys can see that it's curving this way, but yeah. And like I said, the hair, you want to make sure the hair is pulled taut, so this piece of the hair is all straight, but this piece is where you want to see the curve, because when it dangles in your hand, you'll be able to see the curve. So yeah, so when you do that, you keep doing that around the whole head, and you will have your layers. Now for the staircase method, that was like the C method, really. Staircase method, honestly, to me, it's the same. It's just about finger placement. So the C curve method, I'm taking my fingers like this, and go like this and creating my C. You can go ahead and flip it with this back here. Honestly, flipping it, not flipping it, doesn't make a difference to me. It just depends on like how you like it. Sometimes it's easier for you to see when you flip it, so you can do that. Sometimes I just don't think that it's necessary, so you can take it. I know that this is the top of my hair, this is the bottom of my hair, this is where I want to keep it longer, so my diagonal is going down towards this bottom here. And that's all I need to remember. And then I keep going all the way around the head, like I said, so I have this piece done, and then I can go down, take a straight slice here, and take your time with this. Don't take super massive sections, because you want your cuts to be blended and seamless. And we're gonna do the same exact thing. Take it out to where I want those first layers to start, and then create my diagonal downward cut. So with the C curve method, I would be flipping it. This is more of a staircase because I'm taking that hair and cutting down like that. You can also just take it out to the side like this and start cutting down like this. That method is something a lot of people do. It can go wrong because you can't really see what you're doing when you're cutting into the hair like that. But when you hold it in front of you here, you can fully see where you're cutting and you have a little bit more control. So if you're finding that your layers are getting really jagged, try doing it in front of your face, because you can literally see, okay, here's my curve, I can see where I'm cutting. And then when you let it down, you're able to see what that looks like. These are very simple, not very exaggerated layers. The more layers you want, the more hair you're gonna have to cut off. Like I said, doing the pull-up method is gonna make it a little bit easier because these layers kind of stay longer, while these layers, because they're closer to your hand, they're gonna be shorter. So I'll just kind of demonstrate that too, so you guys can understand it. If I pull all this hair up to the top, right? And my hands, I'm stopping here. When I let this down, these top layers only get up to here, while the bottom layers still would go down to the bottom of the hair. So that hair is not gonna be cut as much, but the top layers are going to be quite short. So this unit, it actually has pretty short layers in it. So this is one of the shortest layers. It only goes to here, and the hair is down to like here. It just depends on what you want. Either way, those are the methods to do it. And I always do, if I'm doing the pull-up method, I always do a cleanup with the C curve or the staircase method, just so I can see that I still have that curvature and it's not choppy. Unless you want choppy layers, then that's how you do that. But I'm gonna go through this head so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing and give you guys different angles. And then we'll check back in once the hair is done. This video also does have a part 2 where I'll be styling this unit so you can see what the layers look like when it's styled. This unit is styled with big curls, so I am going to be using my T3, so we can go through with that. But yeah, so stay tuned so we can get through the rest of this wig. This hair is very thick. I would recommend, if this is your first time doing layers, do it on something a little bit easier to manage. This is intermediate. Let's do it on a beginner unit first. So this is like I said, she is a thick unit. This is a thick unit. But it's great for the girls who want a little bit of extra-ness to their hair and also want hair that can mimic their texture, but still want lace. So this is what that's looking like. Basically, this is it. Like I said, more layers, the more volume, more it's gonna really sit up like that. less layers, the more it is going to kind of flow down and more so look like waves. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you it on me. Like I said, this is a big head of hair. This is giving SZA. Circa what, 2016? This is a lot of hair. Like I said, if you want the hair to be this big, cool. If you want it to be a little bit more tamed, go ahead and straighten the hair before you do this if you're working with Yaki textured hair. And if you're working with this density, this is like 2.5, 3-ish bundles, 2.5 maybe. It does get very, very large, but also this is great for if you do want that extra volume, you want something that's, you know, a little bit extra. This is a great texture. I'll show you